Welcome to the snapshot of Best Self, Be You, Only Better by Mike Bauer. Here we'll explore the key insights from Best Self. Introduction. If your life isn't on a path that you've chosen based on your passion, how can you expect to feel fulfilled? A day when you're committed to a job you don't really care about is a day when your chances of happiness are totally shot. However, most people spend their lives dedicated to work or relationships that they've found themselves in arbitrarily because they fear what following their real passion would mean, haven't done the work to discover what their passion is, or simply have never been told that following their passion is allowed. But you can never be fulfilled by a life you didn't choose based on the depths of your values. Listening to your true values is a lifelong process because your passion may change as you grow. Living in alignment with your values means allowing yourself to change, and change passionately. The results of those changes are not what matters. What matters is that you're spending every day committed to listening to your true self. It's totally allowed, and it's the only way you can find fulfillment and offer your best self to the world. Guarantee you are paving the way for your best self by never losing sight of your 7 spheres. 1. Social. How do you spend your social time, and how skilled are you at communicating and listening? 2. Personal. What is your relationship with the voice in your head? Is the voice a tyrant, a brat, or a good coach? 3. Health. Are you standing in your own way by keeping your body in suboptimal shape? If you're living in a body that feels like your anti-self, you're not giving yourself a chance to be your best self. 4. Education. Be a lifelong learner, but be exclusive about what you learn. Only develop interests that genuinely excite you, and don't bother with information you don't really care about. 5. Relationships. Be authentic by being crystal clear about your values and representing your values honestly in all your relationships. 6. Employment. Don't settle for a job that doesn't make use of your best talents. Instead, find a job that makes you proud and work with people you enjoy. 7. Spiritual development. Get to the core of what your spiritual beliefs are, rigorously incorporate those beliefs and practices into your life, and watch yourself become more generous, joyful, and appreciative. Discovering your best self versus your anti-self. Everybody's best self will be different, but there are certain traits that are universal. For example, you won't find cruelty in your best self. Cruel people aren't simply being honest, they're disconnected from their authentic care for other people. In that spirit, it's time to establish a few of the required traits you'll need to truly find and become your best self. The first and foremost is a kind inner voice. You must be a good friend to yourself if you're going to complete this journey. The way to foster that voice is congruent with the exercises you're going to use to create your best self. Get a journal and write down your thoughts and progress using a few of these exercises. 1. Write down your traits. Who do you believe you already are? What are the best of those traits? Circle the most important traits and use them for the next step. 2. Create your best self. Name it. Draw a picture of it. One rock star completing this process named his best self Ralph and drew a picture of it as a friendly mouse. Describe your best self to the best of your ability. 3. Write a gratitude list. It's important to keep gratitude at the forefront of your mind. What you're grateful for is a good indicator of what your real values are and will give you the strength to keep going. After drafting a version of your best self, it's important to do the inverse and discover your anti-self. Try this exercise. 1. Discover your anti-self. Write a list of all your worst traits. Most people find this exercise less difficult than writing a list of their positive traits. Put those adjectives together into a portrait of a single character, your anti-self. It's okay to create more than one anti-self. For example, you might name your jealous self a different name than your angry one. 2. Describe 5 situations in which your anti-self was in control. 3. Describe those 5 situations again, but as if your best self had been in control instead. Your unique journey. Before you go any further, it's important that you adopt 5 qualities on your journey that are crucial if you want to undergo real change. Those qualities are curiosity, honesty, openness, willingness, focus. Without these qualities, there is no way you'll get a clear image of what you want or be able to put in the work that will push you towards your goal. You must be curious about the truth, and you must be able to express it. You must be open to the changes you might discover, and you must be willing to move forward. And you must not get distracted. Rate yourself. Write down each of those qualities and give yourself a rating for each on a scale from 1 to 10. Be honest. Then it's time to consider your obstacles. Fear is often the thing that stands in the way of being your best self, but although it can be persuasive, fear is often a misguided emotion. It's time to put your fears to the test so you can clearly identify their sources and how useful they are. First, list your fears. Then ask these questions of each one. 1. Is the fear factually true? 2. Does the fear serve your best interest? 3. Does the fear generate progress toward a healthy goal? Spheres. These 7 spheres can help you pave the way for your best self. Your social life. Much of your happiness depends on the quality of your social life. For that reason, you'll need to look at the way you spend your time socializing. Rate your effectiveness in these social situations. 1. Sending clear messages. 2. Listening. 3. Giving and receiving feedback. 4. Handling emotional interactions. After you've reflected on your abilities, ask yourself how you can make your social life the best it can be. What do you need to stop doing in social situations, and what do you need to start doing? What should you continue to do? Your personal life. To be the best you can be for other people, you must first cultivate the best possible relationship with yourself. This means you need to take a hard listen to the voice in your head. Here are some questions to consider. 1. What do you say to yourself on a normal day? When you speak to yourself about your appearance, what words do you use? What about your intelligence or your self-worth? 2. What do you say to yourself when you're under pressure? 3. Looking back over your answers, what patterns can you find in your internal dialogue? What is the general tone you speak to yourself in? 4. Do you tend to focus on things you can't control, or do you fixate and blame yourself for things you never had control over in the first place? Once you have a good idea of how you're treating yourself in your own mind, take steps to improve this relationship. Your mind should treat you like a good coach. This requires self-care and self-love. Find times to foster your relationship with yourself using positive affirmations. Your health. On the way to becoming your best self, it's easy to forget about the vital importance of your physical health. If your body isn't working at its best, your mind won't be either. Your perception of yourself is significantly affected by the state of your body. One man described how, after years of being overweight, he couldn't escape the idea that he was the living incarnation of his worst self. Health doesn't just concern weight. Smoking, not exercising, and other bad habits deteriorate your health. With the peace of mind that comes with a healthy body, you'll be more likely to access your best self. Your education. Being a lifelong learner is a profound gift, but one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a student of the world is to feel obligated to learn any subject that comes your way. Don't make this mistake. Ensure that you're only learning subjects that connect to your heart. If you love what you're learning, it won't become a duty and you'll meet less resistance. Ask yourself what you really want to learn and what's keeping you from learning it now. Your relationships. To truly connect with other people, you need to be as authentically yourself as possible and be crystal clear about your values. What are your most important values? Which did you get from your family, and can you really consider them your own? Are these values shared in your important relationships? Try to seek out people with similar values, or at least refuse to surrender yours for somebody else's. Only the real you can forge real relationships. Carry your values into your family life, romantic life, and social life. Your employment. Many people are stuck in jobs that don't speak to their best self. Are you one of these people? Here are some obvious signs your best self and your job are not in alignment. 1. People at your workplace avoid you. 2. You don't feel like you can be honest at work. 3. You never get promoted. 4. You feel no pride in doing a good job. 5. You're exhausted at the end of every day. 6. You're bored. 7. Your best talents are not being used. If these things are true for you, something needs to change. The tricky thing is that sometimes it's the job that needs to change, and sometimes it's you. Ask yourself honestly if you're being a good employee. Count 3 times in the last month that you've loved your job. Are there ways you could guarantee more of those moments? Are there old habits you could break or new habits you could build that would allow your best self to come out at work? If not, then you need to take the brave leap of finding a new way to earn a living. With a choice this risky, don't skimp on the work you need to do to find what your real passion is. You should also ask yourself about your relationship to money, if you're making enough and if you're on track to meet your financial goals, and what needs to happen for you to feel fully satisfied in your work life. Don't be afraid of the period of unemployment that might follow this process. Once you have become your best self, you'll be an ideal candidate for the jobs that you've chosen to apply to because of your true passion. Be honest in your application, and you and your dream job will be a natural pair. Your spiritual development. Next, examine your spiritual history. Did you inherit your beliefs from your parents? Did you reject their religion? It's crucial to realize that spirituality isn't necessarily religion, and you'll need to strip away all the aspects of your spirituality that you don't take seriously until you get the core of what you really believe. That essence of your spirituality will be far more powerful than any of the additional components that have complicated your spiritual life. Once you're in touch with the core of what you really believe, create an intention for your spiritual life. What do you want to get out of your beliefs, and how do you want them to show themselves in your day? Here are just a few things that a healthy spirituality will bring into your life. 1. Ample quiet. You find moments of solitude to reflect and a respite from the noise of the world. 2. Spiritual awareness. You track the signs life is sending your way, leading you to opportunities you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. 3. A shared spiritual journey. This will enhance your relationships with others. 4. Generosity. You recognize that the act of giving is a gift to yourself. Assembling your best team. The first thing you need to know is that you deserve to have a life populated by wonderful people. Too many people settle for mediocre friends because at their core they believe they don't deserve better. But your life is full of many different kinds of individual connections, and it's easy to imagine that your only duty is to make sure you have a good circle of friends and a good romantic partner. Expand your thinking. You shouldn't settle for a doctor you don't feel great about. You don't need teachers you hate. You shouldn't have a priest you don't look up to. It's a good idea to rate your team. Examine what your team looks like in each sphere's category. Once you've set yourself on course for gathering the perfect team, don't forget the other side of the coin. You need to make sure that you are also a valuable member of your team. Are you giving your teammates as much as they're giving you? Conclusion. After an in-depth inquiry into your spheres, it should be much easier for you to establish your goals. Check in with your best self model and make sure your goals are in line with it. And while you make your goals, make sure they're measurable and within your control. Perhaps most importantly, establish a plan to actually achieve them. Give yourself a timeline and understand that a goal is established in steps, not all at once. Have patience, build momentum, and finally, keep yourself accountable. The universe wants you to be your best self because, in addition to it serving you in your own life, finding your best self also guarantees that you're offering the universe the most that you can give. You do this work not only for yourself, but also for everyone who stands to gain from your generosity. Align yourself with your deepest values, hone your skills, populate your life with the kinds of habits and people who inspire you, and then offer yourself to life. About Mike Bauer. Mike Bauer is the founder and CEO of CAST Centers, a mental health and addiction treatment network. Before CAST, he received his Bachelor of Science in Alcohol and Drug Counseling from Metropolitan State University in Minneapolis-St. Paul, Minnesota, and was a California Certified Alcohol and Drug Abuse Counselor and Board-Registered Interventionist. He's appeared on television numerous times, including as a regular contributor on Dr. Phil.